Hello crafty friends, welcome to or welcome back to Jenny Love Journals. So today is sort of a different video from what I usually do. I have gotten several requests, probably about 6 or 7 requests, to make a video showing you guys how I fussy cut all of my digital fussy cuts and ephemera and things like that using my Cricut so that I don't have to cut them by hand. So as a lot of you know, I am a huge fan of Etsy shops like KB and Friends, Polka Dot Pixels, several others. And a lot of times when I buy a digital kit, it comes with all of these cute little pieces that you can fussy cut. But I personally, while I don't mind fussy cutting with scissors, especially when I'm just, chilling out, watching TV and things like that, I would prefer to save that time to work on my journals. And so I have learned to train my Cricut to fussy cut all of these for me. So if you have a Cricut machine and you are curious as to how to do this, I know that a lot of you already know how to do this, but some of you don't know. It is kind of a confusing process, but once you learn how to do it, it's easy as pie, guys, and it makes your life so much easier and your crafting a lot quicker because, like I said, it cuts out all the time that you take to fussy cut with your hands. So let your Cricut do the work for you. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to program your Cricut to fussy cut all of these beautiful little elements for you. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Cricut design space. And up here in the top right corner, click New Project. And then go down to Blank Canvas and go ahead and click on that. It'll open up your canvas for you. So then over here in the left panel, you will see Upload. So go ahead and click that. And now you're going to see the upload options, which are image or pattern fill. So we're going to want to keep it on image because we are fussy cutting an image. So go ahead and open up or browse for an image. Now it's going to bring you to this spot, so you can either click browse to browse for an image in your computer, or you can just open up a folder that you already have opened on your desktop and choose an image from inside of that folder. In this case, I'm going to use these cute little Christmas mason jars from Polka Dot Pixels and drag it over into the window. As you can see, it opens the image right in the Cricut design space. I'm going to go ahead and click continue down in the bottom right corner. Now it is uploaded them into this part, so we need to get rid of the white space in the background, otherwise the Cricut won't cut these out correctly if the white space is there. So in order to do that, we need to eliminate that. So we're going to make sure that it is on select, and then we are going to make sure that it is remove background, which it is already. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my cursor over and click right on the white spot, and it'll take the white away, as you can see. And it basically kind of turns it into like a PDF file. So it's just the jars, no white space. If there happens to be any lettering or anything around the image that you want to get rid of before cutting, go ahead and click erase. And you can adjust your slider here as far as the size that you want your erase tool to be, and you can go ahead and erase anything that you don't want on there before you go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so everything looks good so far, so we're going to go ahead and accept and continue down in the bottom right corner. So now we have 3 options. We have multiple layers, single layer, or flat graphic. So in our case, we want to print and cut these in a flat graphic. So go ahead and choose the flat graphic option. And then go ahead and click continue in the bottom right corner. Okay, now it uploads it into this space. Everything looks good. There's no changes that I want to make, so I'm going to go ahead and click upload to upload it into our canvas area. And depending on the size of the image, it might take a few minutes to upload, so be patient, but it might not seem like it's doing anything, but it actually is uploading. Okay, so here it has uploaded into our canvas, but as you can see, the image is very large. So we need to resize this image so that we can fit it on a 8.5 by 11 inch sheet and cut it out. Otherwise, obviously, it won't work. So we're going to take the top corner there and drag it down. Just grab a hold of the little dot in the top corner, drag it down, drag the image up just to make sure, you know, that it is going to be the right size. And so if you look over here in the right hand panel, you see this little red exclamation point. That means that the image is still too large to fit on the 8.5 by 11 inch sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to drag this image until that red exclamation mark disappears. So basically that'll tell you that it is the right size to cut it out. So just slowly drag it here and there, just a little by little until that, boop, there it goes. Now it's gone. So now we have the right size to be able to print and cut. So now what we're going to do is come up here in the top right corner and we're going to click Make. And this is going to ask you if you want to save this project in your Cricut design space. So in my case, it's already saved, so I'm going to go ahead and decline that. Make sure that your printer is on as well as your Cricut. So this looks pretty good. Now what we are going to do is make sure that this format is set for 8.5 by 11 inch paper because, you know, in most cases that's what your printer will want to print on. So make sure that it is set to that of all the other options that you see here. Okay, everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and click Continue. And now we are going to send this to our printer to print before we cut. So go ahead and click Send to Printer and make sure again that it says 8.5 by 11 inch letter. And right here it's going to tell you that the sensor marks have been added. So it will print on your printer these little sensor marks in the corner so that the Cricut knows where to cut. Okay, so now we are going to make sure that the right printer is selected. So in my case, I have a wireless printer, so I'm going to go down and select network. You can connect your printer USB to your computer if need be if you don't have a wireless printer, but again, in my case, I do. So I'm also going to select how many copies I want, which I only want one copy in this case. So I'm also going to add a bleed, and what this does is it makes it so that it adds a little bit of extra color on the outside so that there's no white edge when Cricut cuts it out. I'm going to select bleed, and then this I'm not going to go ahead and select that. We don't need that. So go ahead and click Next. And it is preparing to print. Okay, so now my printer is printing the image. And as you can see, it does have the black corner marks so that the Cricut knows exactly where to cut. There it is. And everything looks great. So let's bring it over to the Cricut and get them cut out. Okay, now that the printer has printed it out, I'm going to go ahead and click Done. And I'm going to reconnect my Air 2 Cricut because again it is wireless. There we go. Now it's connected. Again, you can use a USB to connect it from your Cricut to your computer if needed. All right, so now we need to set the material that we're using. So in my case, this is the second step, by the way. In my case, I am using heavy cardstock, 100-pound cardstock. So that's what I have selected. But if you are using something different, you can click Browse down here. And it gives you a list of all of the different types of material that you can use through your Cricut to cut it out. So go ahead and take a look at, you know, what paperweight or GSM you are using so that the Cricut knows how hard to press, how many passes to cut, things like that, so that it's properly cut out all the way through and no tears and rips in the paper and things like that. So again, in my case, I am using 100-pound cardstock, so that's what I have chosen. So that's what I'm going to stay with, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the heavy cardstock button here. Okay, now I'm going to grab my Cricut cutting mat, and in my case I am going to use the strong grip mat because again I'm using heavy cardstock, so for me that is just the best choice because it has a nice strong grip and it really holds the paper down. So if you notice, the black lines in the corners again are there to help the Cricut know where to cut, and if you notice in the top left hand corner you will see a little tiny arrow. That is actually an indicator to let you know that that is the upright position of the paper. So make sure that when you place your paper down on your mat, it's always pointing upward as far as where the arrow is pointing. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it onto my mat. And it really doesn't matter where on the mat you put it because the lines do tell the Cricut where to cut. But I like to put it, set it up on the top corner. So you can either use your hand to smooth it down and secure it, or you can use a roller. I like to use the roller to just make sure that it's really sticking to the mat good so that no parts of the paper come up during the cutting process. So let's bring it over to the Cricut machine and cut these out. Okay, so please make sure that your paper feed button is blinking. That's an indicator that your Cricut is ready for you to feed the mat and paper through the machine. I also like to set the dial to custom, which is right there on the side because my paper is so thick. So I want to make sure that the Cricut really presses down and cuts. And so I make sure that I slide the mat again with the arrow pointing up into the Cricut. Make sure that you have it in between these two little peg thingies so that the Cricut holds it down well. And then click your feed button and it should stop blinking. When it's ready, go ahead and click the Cricut button. That should start blinking, indicating that it is ready to start going through the sensor process and cutting. So right now my Cricut is doing like a sensor check. It's verifying that the lines are there. It's going, through all four corners to make sure that each line is there so that again it knows where to cut. So it's going to go again to all four corners and check to make sure that those lines are there. Okay, now my Cricut is going to start cutting these out, as you can see, and it knows exactly where to cut because again, we programmed it into our design space and we have the indicator lines right there on the paper that tell the Cricut where to cut. So the Cricut is going to continue to cut. It's going to cut 3 passes, which means it's going to cut each of these little mason jars 3 times due to the thickness of my paper. It depends on what paper you use. If you use like a thinner paper, it might not cut 3 times, but the thicker the paper, the more it'll cut. Just again to make sure that it really gets through and cuts it thoroughly. So it's just going to continue cutting until it gets them all cut out. And here in the Cricut design space, you can see where it is telling you that it is cutting 3 passes. Again, it depends on the thickness of your paper. Sometimes it might cut 2 or maybe even just 1. For thinner paper, it's usually just 1. And if you look over here in the left-hand column area, it shows you kind of an indicator of how much has been cut so far and how much longer it has to cut. It's just kind of like this little indicator that goes around this little circle here that kind of tells you how much longer it has. And as soon as the Cricut is finished cutting, it will pull down like this, and then the paper feed button will begin to blink again, indicating that you can go ahead and pull it out. So make sure that you press that paper feed button first to unlock the mat and then go ahead and pull it out. So now all of our little mason jars are cut. Okay, so now we have to remove our fussy cuts from the Cricut mat here. So what I'm going to do is turn it upside down and curl it back just like this and slowly pull the mat away from the paper. And the reason I do it like this is because if I was just to grab the paper and pull it directly off the mat, the paper itself would curl, which would cause the fussy cuts to curl up as well. So this way it keeps them nice and flat. And then here you go. Because it cut down 3 times, they just fall right off the paper like butter. So as you can see, all of our little mason jars are perfectly cut. Look at how beautiful that is, very intricate. All of the little details, which it's never that perfect when we fussy cut with our hands, right? So the Cricut did a really good job and it was nice and easy. Okay, and so now that we are done, we're going to go ahead in the bottom right corner here and click done. And you can go ahead and repeat the process to cut out anything else that you would like to cut. All right, guys, so there you have it. That is how I cut my fussy cut elements and ephemera pieces from digital kits using my Cricut machine. I hope this video helped you out a lot, and if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to put them in the comments below or even shoot me an email. My email address is in the description below this video. And I hope it was easy enough for you guys to understand, because like I said in the beginning, it can be a confusing process, but once you practice and do it a few times, get it under your belt, it's very easy. And you guys will be cutting things out of your Cricut like all the time. You guys will be addicted to doing it, trust me, and you'll get a nice collection going of all kinds of pieces of ephemera and fussy cuts and things like that. And you saved your hands. You didn't have to use your hands and cramp your hands with those scissors and things like that. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a great big thumbs up. Share it out to any family and friends who you think would enjoy it. Don't forget to follow me over on Facebook and Patreon. Both links are in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.